Hello, I am Basara. Let me tell you why I started studying biblical principles of wealth. To tell this story, I need to go back to when I had just turned 20. When I became a college student, my father's business began struggling and eventually failed. He was in the construction business, and this was during Korea's economic crisis, the IMF period, as we remember it. I had barely managed to attend university for over a year, but our family's finances could no longer sustain it. Debt collectors started coming to our house, and I had no choice but to take a break from school. I need to tell you about my parents. My mother was a Christian who believed in Jesus, but my father was not. For various reasons, they had been fighting violently since my earliest childhood memories. Adultery, gambling, in-law troubles, financial hardship. They experienced and acted out every topic that should never happen between a married couple, constantly fighting. The only difference between them was that my mother believed in Jesus and my father did not. After our family's financial situation became difficult, my father tried starting another business, but it didn't work out well. Around that time, my mother studied at a theological seminary and received her evangelist certification. We moved from Seoul to a rental apartment in the outskirts of Gyeonggi Province. My father ended up staying home unemployed. After taking a break from school, I was making money by tutoring children. After our family settled in this unfamiliar city in the outskirts of Gyeonggi Province, the first thing my mother and I did was look for a church near our home. I probably just followed my mother without much thought. I remember it was a Wednesday evening service, and that church near our house, the first one I attended, completely transformed my life. Because I finally met God. There was no one at the Wednesday evening service of this church plant except the pastor's family. The building wasn't even finished yet, and I only remember my mother and me, the pastor and his family. My mother became an evangelist at this church plant. She attended all services, including early morning prayer meetings, and I followed her around. It was hard for me to watch and endure my unemployed father who just watched TV and lay on the sofa all day. Since I ran tutoring sessions from home, I had to be at home with my father all day long. My father had troubled me with women issues from my childhood through high school. Why did he always leave evidence of his affairs in front of me so many times? And now he was at home in this state, just watching TV. I hated seeing him like that. So I snapped at him more than once. But something strange started happening. Peace came to me. I had never received any coercion or teaching from anyone, and even my mother had never told me to do this. But I started tithing. I began doing it purely out of my own voluntary desire. Not only that, I wasn't satisfied with just tithing. Grateful for the overflowing peace and grace I received, I gave an additional 10% of my income as Thanksgiving offerings. I also started giving relief offerings. I put all the coins I earned into the relief offering box that the church distributed. Whenever I got coins, I wouldn't spend them but generously put them into the relief offering box. So I ended up giving the most in relief offerings, even more than the pastor. Since this was sent to a specific ministry organization, the church's financial officer counted and announced it before sending. I gave offerings with joy. There was no coercion or persuasion from anyone. I just did it out of gratitude to God. But I had no idea then how great a harvest this would bring. My mother also received a salary as an evangelist from the church, so she would have tithed and given offerings. And I did too. This was the first time in our family's history that complete tithes were given. This became possible because my father was no longer earning money. And then, another amazing thing happened. My father, who had nothing to do while staying home, started attending church. This was the first time I witnessed him going to church beyond Sunday service. He attended weekday services too, and our entire family became worshipers. The amazing things start from here. Our church, which was a church plant, came to use one floor of a newly built commercial building. After the church structure was completed, my father began serving the church with his talents. He took charge of the church's interior design. I never asked or heard about it, but I don't think my father received compensation. Because the pastor at that time was someone who saved money in the best sense, and I remember the missionary staff salaries were very low. I think my father would have gladly donated his talents to that extent. I can't ask my father now because he has passed away. My father got the opportunity to use his God-given natural artistic and professional talents for the church interior construction. At that time, neither I nor my father knew how such actions would please God or what blessings they would bring. Thinking back to my situation then, I was in a hopeless situation, wondering if I could return to school the next year. I earned money through tutoring, but continuing school with that was impossible. But I don't think I thought that far ahead about the future. I was just happy day by day. Our home was peaceful. We had family devotions every day. Our family's tithes were given without any leakage, and other offerings were joyfully given to God. I had no idea then that our family was sowing seeds with joy. After some time passed, people started coming to our house. They were coming to seek advice from my father, who had been unemployed and just watching TV. These were people who had bought land in the nearby land development district, and they heard through our church that my father was a construction expert and came to seek consultation. My father drew pictures on scratch paper and answered their questions. He explained the overall methods and processes of construction, ways to profit as a building owner, and actual returns. Then, something amazing happened. The people who came for free consultations started giving work to my father. Our pastor came to our house and blessed us. I vividly remember what the pastor said to my father. When you wake up in the morning, face north, south, east, and west, and declare, "Give me this mountain." Just as the pastor blessed, such things happened. As that area developed, my father began building houses, one house every 2 or 3 houses apart. This way, just as the pastor's blessing said, my father's business expanded in all directions, north, south, east, and west. This naturally led to economic profits. My father came to earn more than $1 million within a year, literally becoming a millionaire within a year. After that, we came to own several of our own buildings. All of this was accomplished by grace. A college student who couldn't think of returning to school due to poverty experienced how amazing God's grace is. When we pursue only the Lord, money chases after us even when we don't chase after money. And from then on, I began searching, seeking, and meditating on biblical principles of wealth. This is exactly the topic I want to share now. There are only 2 types of Christians in the world: Christians who live by faith and Christians who live only by faith. The former way of living has no problem with being saved and going to heaven. However, only the latter way of living only by faith enables us to receive and enjoy all the grace that God bestows on this earth. From now on, I want to share with you biblical verses related to abundant provision and principles of wealth. In these last days, I bless you to become believers who live by faith alone, enjoying the abundance that the Lord pours out through the gospel of grace. This has been Basora. Shalom.